Hello, everyone. This is Isa, and today I'm going to talk about a book review. And the book name is Never Split the Difference. And this book is written by Chris Voss. And Chris Voss was a FBI agent, and he was a lead negotiator in a hostage negotiation situation. So अगर हम किसी भी हॉस्टेज नेगोशिएशन की बात करते हैं, सो देयर कैन नेवर बी अ विन विन. इमेजिन अगर हम ये बात करेंगे कोई रैंसम की डिमांड है, सो हम विन विन की बात करते हैं. सो वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट गिविंग द रैंसम टू अ क्रिमिनल. और या फिर अगर हम ये बात करें कि कुछ ले दे के हम बात बना लें, सो वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट अगर उसने कोई भी डिमांड रखी है, सो वी आर इनकरेजिंग अदर क्रिमिनल्स. अगर हम उस नेगोशिएशन में विन विन की तरफ जाते हैं, यानी कि हमारा गोल किसी भी हॉस्टेज नेगोशिएशन में जो आर्म फोर्सेस या वट एवर द एजेंसी और द लॉ एनफोर्समेंट पर्सनल इज नेगोशिएटिंग, उसका गोल क्या होता है, इज टू सेफली रिकवर द हॉस्टेज. और जबकि क्रिमिनल का गोल ये होता है कि he can get the ransom, or whatever his other demand is. He might demand कि यार मेरा दूसरा क्रिमिनल पार्टनर है, आप उसको रिलीज कर दें. सो ये विन विन नहीं हो सकता that you are releasing a criminal for an innocent person's life. So this is a very difficult situation, hostage negotiation की अगर हम बात करते हैं. So Chris Voss ने किस तरह negotiation कि अपने करियर में कौन सी ऐसी टेक्निक्स थी जो उसने अप्लाई की, और व्हाई ही वाज सो सक्सेसफुल. सो इन दिस बुक ही राइट्स अबाउट ऑल हिज टैक्टिक्स, that how he applied the real life tactics in the hostage negotiation, and he then summarized all those tactics in this book, and now we can apply those hostage negotiation tactics into our business negotiation, our personal negotiation, or whatever negotiation we are in. So before talking about the book review, let's talk about okay, what a negotiation situation is. जब भी हम किसी negotiation की बात करते हैं, so there is initial demand, जो कि एक ideal situation होती है. For example, you are negotiating with your boss about your salary raise. So you might have initially in mind, or you might talk about that I want a 20% raise. So this is the initial demand. And then you have a settling percentage. You might think back of your mind, ठीक है मैंने 20 की बात की है, but 15 तो मुझे कम से कम चाहिए. So this is your settling percentage. And then there is a time box. आपकी वो नेगोशिएशन जब तक आपका अप्रेजल का टाइम है, उसी दौरान आपने उस नेगोशिएशन की डील को क्लोज करना है. यू कैन नॉट डिले इट टिल द नेक्स्ट ईयर. सो आपको रेस चाहिए है, आपका अप्रेजल है, एंड इसी पीरियड में है. सो दिस एक्टिविटी इज टाइम बॉक्स. तो एसेंशियली देयर आर थ्री एलिमेंट्स: इनिशियल डिमांड, सेटलिंग परसेंटेज, एंड टाइम बॉक्स. इसी तरह पैरेलल थ्री अदर एलिमेंट्स होते हैं नेगोशिएशन के, जिसमें एक्सचेंज है. नाउ दिस इज एक्सचेंज ऑफ offers, and then there is a persuasion. Every party who is offering something, then they persuade the other party that whatever they are offering is in best interest of both. And then they reach, on the basis of their ability on the basis of their offer and the ability to persuade the other party, they ultimately reach a decision, so to close the deal. So these are the essential elements before we talk about the book review. Now, why negotiation fails? Chris Voss tells us about there are a lot of reasons that any negotiation fails. But one of the fundamental reason is that if you are negotiating without considering who the other person is, you are going to fail. The basic element to understand is you do not negotiate with organization. You do not negotiate with a designation. You negotiate with a person. Imagine B2B नेगोशिएशन है, आप कोई डील क्लोज करने जाते हैं, आप किसी नेगोशिएशन में एंटर हो रहे हैं, आप किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ नहीं, आप उस पर्सन के साथ जो उस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है. नाउ दैट पर्सन इज अ ह्यूमन बीइंग, and human beings are driven by emotions rather than logics. So if we talk about logic, why doesn't always work? It doesn't work. Why? Imagine when we go into any negotiation, we have studied a lot about negotiation. We talk about win-win situation, always bring win-win situation. This is the only way to be successful. But I bet you all can remember a situation where you have thought that, yes, I am bringing this win-win situation to the other party, but he's not agree or she is not agreeing to it. So what is the difference? Why the logic doesn't work? So what essentially happens? Imagine you and me are negotiating about anything. I'm bringing you a solution and I'm giving you logic. For example, I'm selling clothes. So I'm giving you logic. Whatever you are wearing is obsolete. It's not trendy. It's old. Now the trends have changed. You need to change yourself. So what essentially I'm talking about, I know better than you. I know the facts. I know the problem you are facing. I know their solution. You know nothing. In short, I'm better than you at knowing what you need. So how would you feel about it? जब कभी कोई आपको आपकी गलती का एहसास दिलाता है, कितनी दफा ऐसा होता है कि हम तहे दिल से उसको अप्रिशिएट करते हैं. मोस्टली ह्यूमन टेंडेंसी जो ये जो भी बंदा ये कहे कि यू डोंट नो और यू आर रॉन्ग, देयर इज अ ह्यूमन टेंडेंसी कि यू स्टार्ट डिसलाइकिंग इट. सो हाउ वुड यू फील if I present you with a lot of logics and tell you that I know better than you and I am good at designing solutions than you and I can address your need my way in a better fashion as compared to you. So definitely you are not going to like me. Although I might be saying the right things. मैं आपको एक fact बता रहा हूँ. I'm telling you what the situation is, but you are not going to like if I'm bullying you. So this is why logic does not always work, because we do not consider emotions when we talk about logic. So if not logic, then what instead of logic? Trust. Any negotiation fails without trust. Imagine you go to any shop to buy a mobile. Would you go to a mobile shop that you don't know about his owner, or would you go to a shop जिसके ओनर के बारे में आपको पता है कि he is an honest person, you can trust that person, despite the fact you might get a better offer at other shop, but you would still like to go to the person you know that you have experienced with and buy from that shop because of trust. So what are the fundamentals of trust? Listening, empathy, insightfulness, and competence. Now, these are four very broad terms. Listening is about understanding other person. Empathy about is understanding their perspective, understanding how they feel, why they feel such a way. Insightfulness is knowing about their problem or knowing about their business or whatever situation they have at hand. And competence is about the ability to come up with a solution or to solve the problem. So if you listen to other person, if you empathize, if you are insightful about his or her problem, and if you have the competence, this can work far better than logic. Instead of telling him or her that you are wrong, I am right, you can tell her that I understand you, or him, sorry, I understand you. I know things that you are facing, and I have an absolute idea how we can together come to a solution. What destroys trust, as I talked about earlier, facts and figures. Instead, if you are instead of giving a solution, you bombard a person. Imagine a person comes to you, or a doctor tells you that there are 100,000 people killed by diabetes every year. Is it going to help you? No. What is going to help you is if he tells you or if he prescribes you about the right medicine. So to build trust, these 4 steps are essential. Now, talking about the book, what this book says about building trust is active listening. Let the other person feel that he is being heard or she is being heard. While the other person is talking, do not think about your response. The moment you start thinking about the response, this is the moment that you have lost all the concentration what the other person is saying, and you will not be able to comprehend his situation. And then there is another technique which is called mirroring. When you are talking in a negotiation with the other party, use their vocabularies, their sentences they are using, because it will give a subconscious message that you people are similar. And when this message is floated or other person takes this message, his or her guard can be down. The second step we talked about is tactical empathy. Just give me a second. So the second thing that the author talk about is tactical empathy. What tactical empathy is basically, it's understanding the other's perspective. And after understanding their perspective, describe their problem as a third person, like it feels like, it look likes, or it sounds like. What essentially is happening here, you are not agreeing to whatever their perspective is, but you are just labeling their perspective. This technique is called labeling. For example, you don't like me and you are describing all the things about me. So I can describe a situation. It feels like you think I'm an awful person. It doesn't mean that I agree with you about me being awful. It's about just describing your situation. It gives the reassurance to other person that yes, whatever he said or she said, you comprehended that thing and you are showing empathy to him. You understand his perspective. So what would be his or her response? You are right. When you label in such a way, it feels like I'm an awful person. He or she might say, you are right. So there would be a connection built between you and the other party. As a result, the guard of your counterpart is now down because you have found the common ground of understanding. If you have labeled the wrong way, like what the other party is going to say, no, I'm not saying this. So there is no downside. They will re-describe the situation. They might give the information that they shouldn't have given at the first place. There are certain information in a negotiation जो कि हम छुपा के रखते हैं, जो कि हम नहीं बताते अपनी vulnerabilities के बारे में, अपनी limits के बारे में. So जब आप label करते हैं उसके problem को, so if it is right, you have built a connection. If it is you did not label it rightly, so आपको clarity मिलती. Ultimately, जब सामने वाले को लगता है counterpart को ये feel होता है that you have understood them, they will be ready to understand you as well. So the first thing was active listening by mirroring. The second one is tactical empathy, that is labeling as their perspective as a third person. Then there comes a calibrated questions. Calibrated question, how and what. Whatever their perspective is, whatever their problem is, you can ask for their perspective, that what they think the solution is, how this problem can be eliminated, what solution do you have in your mind. And there can be negative calibrated questions as well. Like, for example, you are talking about addressing of a person, you can negatively calibrate a question. Would you like other person to perceive you as a old mindset person, or you can say कि आप अपने बारे में दूसरों का ये ख्याल पसंद करेंगे कि वो आपको ऐसे देखें जिसको ट्रेंड्स के बारे में कोई इंफॉर्मेशन, कोई नॉलेज नहीं है. So this is a negative calibrated question. If the solution, so now we are talking about their perspective and solution in their mind, how or what they think the solution can be. So they would give up care unke mind mein kya hai, what they think could be the possible solution. So if the solution matches what you have in mind, you can agree. Or if the solution does not matches, you can empathize again, you can show the tactical empathy again, and you can come up with a better calibrated question. Now, for example, you are in a business negotiation, and you are selling something, and that person have said to you that, okay, give me 50% discount. You definitely are not in a position to give the 50% discount because you are working in an organization or you are selling a product for profits. So what you can do is you can understand his or her perspective, that, okay, I understand that you means whatever they are saying, their solution, describe what solution they have in their mind, and then come up with a better calibrated question. Now there would be a cycle, multiple cycles of tactical empathy and calibrated question until you reach a solution, or you can propose a solution in between yourself through your calibrated questions. So Chris was talk about active listening, mirroring and summarizing their perspective, that is mirroring and labeling, and then reaching a guards down situation, जो कि हमने tactical empathy की बात की, and then there are calibrated questions and tactical empathy. Cycles of this exercise until you reach a win-win situation. And the most important thing is practice active listening, because this is a very common mistake we do in our daily lives. We tend to speak more than listen, and we tend to make responses to other person's questions or to other person's perspective without listening to them. So that was all from my side. Thank you very much.